Hello, family. I wanted to come on here real quick because it was this past week I went to the Woman Evolved 2024 conference and it was amazing, y'all. And I woke up this morning and I sensed the Lord say, "This is your year of surrender. You're going to do a year of surrender." And so it's not that I haven't surrendered to God in the past, but it's the way He wants me to surrender over the course of this year. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord. So I am surrendering to be submitted to God, to the changes that He wants to make in my life. I am submitting, I am surrendering to submitting to God and embracing the changes He wants to make in my life. Because y'all, there have been so many times where I have wrestled with God. I've wrestled with God like Jacob when it comes to change. And there was a time when I'll never forget, I was over my sink washing dishes, and I was like, "Lord, I'm tired of wrestling with you." And He was like, "Felicia, I'm tired of wrestling with you too. All I want to do is dance." And I'm like, "Lord, you want to dance?" And He was like, "Yes." And so I believe that in regards to changing, y'all, in my 20s, I used to say I hated change. Hated change. I don't want no change. Let's just let everything stay the same. But I'm now realizing that change can have so much to offer. Change can be a good thing. And so as I am surrendering to submitting to God, to embrace the changes that He wants to make in my life, I I can only imagine what He's going to do. And so He already started really kind of with the conference, because last year when I went to the conference with a dear friend of mine, we took an Uber drive. We took Uber. I got the little Uber app, called the Uber, got the Uber to come pick us up. We even called it our chariot. We were riding in our chariot to the conference like we were Cinderellas or something. But this year I went alone, and I sensed I was supposed to drive. Part of me wanted to drive, but part of me wanted to get an Uber ride. And I'm like, and really it was because I didn't want to deal with parking. I didn't want to, just the thought was intimidating to me, to have to find a parking spot, pay for it. How was I going to pay? Were they going to take credit card? Did I need cash? Well, and I'm sure maybe Sarah told us all of that and I just didn't read it, but I was like, Lord, I don't know if I want to deal with all of that in terms of parking. And so I went on and went. I drove my car. I did not get the Uber ride this time. And oh my goodness, the first day, in fact, the Lord told me before I went, He said, "Get your cash. Get your cash." And I was like, okay, I got my cash. And I didn't know how they were going to take payment, but I got my cash. I was obedient to that. And then I get there and the parking lot is $25. And I'm like, okay. So and I had cash. I paid the girl $25. She pointed me to my spot. And I was like, park, going on into the conference. And I was like, wait a minute, Lord. That was smooth. That wasn't what I anticipated. That's not what I expected. But that was smooth. And sometimes I tell them, y'all, I was like, Lord, you a smooth operator. Smooth operator. He's a smooth operator, y'all. Because the next day, I got cash. I only had $17. But I pulled up in the parking lot that said $20. Only having $17 on me. That's a bold move for me. So I pull up in there, and the young man, he's like, "Ma'am, it's $20. I was like, well, I don't have $20. And so the other young man was like, well, ma'am, how much do you have? And I held up, y'all, my little $17. And I said, all I got is $17. He said, oh, that's okay. That's okay. Come on in. Come on in and park. I was like, oh, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. I'm like, y'all, they let me park. And I'm like, God, look at you. Look at you. So I was able to get in my car for lunch, go wherever I wanted. I didn't have to wait, because the Lord knows sometimes I don't like to wait. But I didn't have to wait on the Uber ride. I felt so empowered, y'all. I felt so empowered by having my own ride. And so what I realize now with this, since I originally felt intimidated and somewhat fearful, with going back and forth about driving my own car because of what I thought about parking, thought it would be too challenging, too difficult. Uber seemed easier. But I was empowered. I was empowered, and the Lord made the process smooth. It wasn't as hard as I anticipated. It felt like a yoke, but He made it easy. In my mind, it was a burden, but He made it light. Look at that. So I realized that the Lord is, I believe during this year of surrender, He's helping me move out of my comfort zone. He's like, that's not your home. Move out of your comfort zone, Felicia. And one of my favorite sayings is, the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. I believe that this year, as I surrender to submitting to God to embrace change that I would not otherwise embrace because of fear, because I want things to stay the same, I'm going to be doing myself a disservice if I do that. And I don't want to do that no more. So y'all pray for me, because He's already called me to the next thing that's called me out of my comfort zone. And I sense I'm going to come back on here and I'm going to share that with y'all after I get through it. But I'm looking forward to submitting to God. Now, after this year is over, am I going to stop surrendering to God? No. What we're doing, I believe what He's doing within me is He's building new habits. He's building new neural pathways. Hallelujah. This brain has neuroplasticity, and that means He wants to change something in me. And so I'm going to embrace change. I'm going to surrender to submitting to God and embrace the changes that He brings my way so that I can evolve. So with that, family, I hope I use my words well. I encourage you to use your words well too, because God, whom I call Papa, He is listening. All right, until next time, bye-bye.